Premier League Gambling Podcast on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by Shady Rays. SGPN is teaming up with Shady Rays for Shady May. Get 50% off your Shady Rays using promo code SGPN. And then go to the sportsgamblingpodcast.com/shady for your chance to win $500. We're also brought to you by the SGPN Mesh Shorts. Just in time for the summer, we've got a brand new line of mesh shorts. Use the promo code SHORTS at store.sportsgamblingpodcast.com for 10% off. Good afternoon and welcome to the Premier League Gambling Podcast. It's currently 1:26 on the 15th of May 2023. My name is Barry Penaluna, coming to you from Bingham in Nottinghamshire, right in the middle of the UK. And I'm here to look back over the last 9 Premier League games played over the last couple of days. I'll also recap our picks for tonight's game between Leicester and Liverpool. And then we'll have a little bit of a look ahead to this week's European second legs in the Champions League, Conference League, and the whatever the other one's called, Europa Cup. We've also got a midweek game between Newcastle and Brighton in the Premier League on Thursday night. We'll cover that as well. So it's a bit of a collector's item, this show, as I'm here on my own, going solo for the first time. I've no doubt it'll be a show that'll probably be talked about for years to come. People will be saying, remember that time when Baz went solo and he hit a clean sweep of midweek picks without Mal there? Something like that, I can imagine being said for years to come. So we're going to have a good show. Mal is absent this week. He's unwell. Tells me he's unable to speak at the moment. Some would say that's a good thing. I suspect the IT department in Mal's house is enjoying a bit of peace and quiet at the moment. One thing about Mal is he is a little bit of a fanny, so we're not quite sure exactly how ill he is. But if you could, keep him all in your thoughts and prayers for the next few days, and we might get him back in time for the show running up to the weekend, whenever that may be. So it might be a bit of a shorter show than usual. We did think about scrapping this one, but I thought it was important to prove that the show must go on. Just because Malcolm's not available, if he does succumb to this illness, we need to prove we can manage without him. So here we go. Before we get into the football, just a little bit of lifestyle update for people who have listened regularly. Child number 1 did turn 13 today, so I am now the father to a teenager. I can report that thankfully she did not get her wish for an orange lizard on her birthday. So there is no lizard. No reptiles of any kind were purchased ahead of her birthday. So that has come as a bit of a relief to those that know about that one. Finally, if you are watching on YouTube, do remember, hit the thumbs up. If you aren't subscribed yet, make sure you subscribe. And the same on Spotify, Apple, whatever it is you're listening to. If you're listening on audio, please remember to subscribe. And if you listen regularly, and there are a lot of you who listen regularly, you might be one of the 90% of listeners who haven't bothered to leave a review yet. So please consider doing so. Drop us a 5-star review on Spotify, Apple, wherever it is. It does help. It's much appreciated. So remember to do that. Spread the word and all of that. So yes, we've had quite a busy weekend in the Premier League. So we kicked off with a lunchtime game between Leeds and Newcastle at Elland Road, a game where Malcolm was in attendance, which explains why Newcastle weren't able to get the result. Malcolm has a terrible record when supporting Newcastle away from home. Now, I missed most of the action on Saturday because I had to take my daughter to a theme park, went to Alton Towers in the UK, with the daughter and a friend for her birthday. So I was constantly keeping tabs on my phone. I did manage to watch all of the second half of this one. I managed to play it really well. I stuck the kids in a queue, an hour-long queue for one of the roller coasters, and this was just as the second half was about to kick off. So send them in a queue. I know they're going to be there an hour. Sit on the bench, log on to Wi-Fi, and watch the second half of this one. So I managed to catch it for what it's worth. So I think 2-2 the final score. And I think both teams will probably have come out of this one a little bit disappointed not to have taken all 3 points here. Leeds, because they went 1-0 up early on, and had the opportunity to go 2-0 up with a penalty from Bamford. Bamford's in awful form at the minute. He's getting absolute pelters from the Leeds fans, and he hasn't helped himself at all by missing that, which would have put them 2-0 up and could possibly have seen them able to sort of hang on and walk off with the 3 points from this one. That was on 28 minutes. He missed the penalty. 2 minutes later, Newcastle up the other end. Penalty themselves. Callum Wilson doesn't miss, and that's 1-1. Newcastle then went 2-1 up with a second penalty in the second half. And Newcastle would be disappointed not to have seen it out from there. 79 minutes, I think it was, when Leeds popped up with an equaliser. And that was that. I'm not sure who the draw is a good result for out of this one. I'm not sure who's come out best, really. Newcastle, we sort of knew before this we probably needed 7 points to guarantee top 4. We now need 6 points from the last 3. And Leeds, it hasn't really changed much for them. Leeds still remain in the bottom 3, 1 point from safety as it stands. And with West Ham and Spurs still to play as their final 2. As I say, Newcastle remain 3rd. Man United made up a bit of ground, but are behind them on goal difference. And Liverpool have the opportunity to make up a bit of ground tonight. My pick for this one was Newcastle to win and Newcastle to score 2 or more. They hit the 2 or more goals, but I didn't see out the win for me. The one thing I did hit here, and it wasn't one we put out on the show, but I've mentioned it a few times, is a little mini bet builder on Newcastle. For Newcastle to score 2 or more, and Newcastle to take 6 or more corners. And that came in at around 2-1. Other than the Arsenal game, you'd have hit this in most games for Newcastle recently. Always hitting the 2 goals, always hitting the 6 corners. And as I say, at around 2-1. It's worth keeping tabs on that one. From a betting point of view, Mal had the highlight in this one. Malcolm took the half-time draw at 9-5 plus 180. That cashed for him to give him a nice start to the weekend. It turns out the weekend went downhill from him from there, not only with the Newcastle result, but also with him being laid up with illness. Next up was a game between Villa and Spurs. Villa went up early in this one through Jacob Ramsey. Spurs were probably a little lucky to get half-time, only 1 behind. They did put some pressure on Villa in the second half, but to no avail. And Douglas Luiz extended the lead for Villa on 72 minutes. Spurs did pull one back, and I'd said before the game, it doesn't matter if it's a good Spurs performance or a bad Spurs performance. Harry Kane will pop up with a goal somewhere. And he did so again with a 90th minute penalty, won by Kane himself. He gets to the ball a fraction before the keeper. He goes to hurdle the keeper, then realises he doesn't want to hurdle the keeper. He puts his legs back down, clips his own ankle, initiates the contact, goes over and wins the penalty. Is he clever or is he just a cheat? I think, I don't know. It's a debate for another day. I'll bring this one up with Malcolm later. But when you watch that penalty in slow motion, he absolutely bored it. And possibly the keeper shouldn't have let him have it. But anyway, so Kane did get his goal. Doesn't seem all that long ago Spurs were right in the top 4 race, does it? And they now find themselves 9 points off top 4 with Villa right behind them and threatening to kick them out of the European spots altogether. They're also struggling to appoint a manager. Pochettino is now being confirmed. He's going to be the Chelsea boss. And Julian Nagelsmann has decided he wants nothing to do with Spurs. So where they go from here, who knows? And my pick here was over 2.5 goals. I also put that up as my lock of the week. And I hit my goal scorer pick with this one with Harry Kane at 11-8. So a good game all round for me. I think Malcolm went the other way. I think he went low scoring in this one. But anyway, before we move on, let me quickly tell you about Shady Rays. Shady Rays is teaming up with SGPN for Shady May. Not only do you get 50% off, but you also have a chance to win $500. Shady Rays have you covered from the sun to the slopes with premium polarized shades, customizable snow goggles, and more. Shady Rays have durable frames and extremely clear optics for outdoor adventures. And that's not all. Shady Rays offers by far the most insane protection in all of eyewear. Every pair of sunglasses is covered by their lost or broken replacement cover. So if you lose or even break your sunglasses, even on day one, they tell us they'll send you a brand new pair, no questions asked. Wear your Shady Rays with confidence because they have your back long after you purchase them. And if you don't love them, Just exchange them for a new pair or return them free of charge within 30 days. There's no risk when you shop with Shady Rays. Their team always has your back. And a reminder for our international listeners, Shady Rays has you covered as well with shipping to Canada, Australia, New Zealand and the United Kingdom. Go to shadyrays.com, use promo code SGPN for 50% off 2 pairs of polarized sunglasses. Then don't forget to take your receipt to sportsgamblingpodcast.com why can't I say //shady for your chance to win $500 in the Shady May contest. You've got your shades, and now it's time to get a great pair of mesh shorts for the summer. Perfect for any summer activity. Head to store.sportsgamblingpodcast.com and use code SHORTS for 10% off. Next up, we had Chelsea v Forest. Both myself and Malcolm fancied Forest here to get something from this game, and that proved to be the case. The Chelsea turnaround lasted just one game, beating Bournemouth. Forest went 1-0 up early on here with Awoniyi, if that's how you say it. I'm going to leave it there. I'm going to have to mention it again because he did score again. He seems to be finding form just at the right time. It's another point that helps Forest here. This one finished 2-2. A quick Sterling double turned things around in the second half before Awoniyi delivered a quick reply to secure a point for Forest. And a point that could prove important for them. I think they'll probably take this one. Let's see where we go from there. I took the over 2.5 goals, which won for me. And Malcolm took Forest on the Asian handicap +1, which gave him a nice win. So double winners on this one. Give a good start to those 3 o'clock games. Next up, we had Palace v Bournemouth. There's not much to say here. I said beforehand, Bournemouth are really hard to call at the moment because from one week to the next, you're not surprised if they beat teams like Palace, but you're equally not surprised if they lose these sort of games. It was a really hard game on the money line for anyone to pick from. Both the teams are safe before this one, and neither of them had any real patterns of form to follow. I did take Bournemouth to win purely from a value point of view. I thought they were a good price, but in the end, they didn't have a single shot on goal. So not even close for me. 2-0 to Palace. Sees them join Chelsea on 43 points now. Palace in 12th, Chelsea in 11th. Bournemouth stay in 14th place. Next up was arguably our best game of the weekend from a handicapping point of view. Man United 2, Wolves 0. Martial put Man United 1-0 up in the first half. Garnacho wrapped it up 2-0 in injury time. I took Man United to win 0 here. It just had really good trends towards it in the home fixtures for Man United. They'd kept, I think, 5 clean sheets in a row before this one. Malcolm took under 2.5 goals, which cashed easily, 1-0 early on. But as I say, very late in the game before the second one went in. Also put up a correct score of 2-0. I'm not sure what price the 2-0 was. But Malcolm's handicapping absolutely nailed it. Said it would be low scoring. Man United would probably win. And we were looking at a 1-0 or a 2-0. I think we were both on exactly the same wavelength and absolutely nailed this one. After that, we had Southampton v Fulham. We said Southampton were finished before this one, and it was finally confirmed here with defeat 2-0 to Fulham, which means Southampton are now officially relegated. It was another great game for Malcolm. They put up Fulham to win. He put up Vinicius, whatever his first name is, I don't know. 5-2 for an anytime scorer, +250. And 13-2 for the first scorer, +650 for Vinicius for Fulham. Malcolm hit all of that. I needed over 2.5 goals. It fell short, and it cost me not only me picking this game, but also my treble. I had an over 2.5 treble, and this was the only leg that went down. So yeah, Vinicius were the first there. We also saw the return of Mitrovic from suspension, and he grabbed the second goal for Fulham. So definitely want to keep an eye out, see if Mitrovic can finish the season strongly. So that brought up the end of the Saturday games. Moving on to Sunday. First up, we had Brentford v West Ham. 2-0 win for Brentford. And this one proved to be really, really easy. Both me and Malcolm put up Brentford here. purely based on the situation. We knew West Ham had this game sandwiched in between their two Europa Conference League games. We both thought West Ham were going to throw absolutely everything at this Europa Conference League, and we both expected them to make a lot of changes, and that proved to be the case. Jared Bowen, Declan Rice, Paqueta, Ben Rama, Antonio, all left on the bench for West Ham. You looked at the team and you thought, yes, exactly what we thought. And it turned out the game was exactly what we thought it would be as well. Really straightforward win. Mbeumo and Wissa put Brentford 2 up by half-time, and that's how it ended. That was the end of that. Notable in this one was the absence of Ivan Toney. There's rumours around that his ban, we've known for quite a long time, he was due a ban for gambling activity. It's not yet been revealed how long it's going to be for, but the suspicion was that might have been why he wasn't in the squad, because we haven't heard anything about any injury. So we might find out in the coming days that Toney is banned, and probably for quite a while. So we'll see what happens with that. Next up, Everton v Man City. Pretty straightforward win for Man City here. 2-0 up in the blink of an eye late in the first half. After a fairly uneventful first half, really, up until that point. Everton did make a bit of a fight of it, possibly had the better chances in the first half, but I think it was 37 and 39 minutes. Gundogan were the first and Haaland with the second, and that was that. Everton did hit the bar in the second half. Man City got the third early on, and once they got that far ahead, there was no coming back. And off they go, strolling towards another title. Gundogan's first goal was a thing of absolute beauty. I absolutely loved that. His second from the free kick was nice also, and he set up the Haaland goal. So an absolute masterclass from Gundogan, who's out of contract at the end of the year. And Man City must be desperate to tie him down. He's absolutely flying at this stage of the season. The main takeaway from me for this one is that Everton should really try and play with a full-sized keeper instead of little Jordan and his little arms. There's a still picture there of him trying to get to Gundogan's free kick, and he's at full stretch, arms out, little dinosaur arms, and he's about 6 foot away from the ball, like absolutely nowhere near. I don't know why he bothered diving, but he does like a little high right reel dive, over exuberant dive where he isn't getting anywhere near it. He had a similar one actually for the Haaland goal, but he was going in the opposite direction to the ball, so he's diving this way and the ball's gone that way. It was all a little bit silly. But yeah, Pickford, I just don't get Pickford. I know Everton fans like him, and don't get me wrong, he pulls off some great saves at times, has the odd blinder of a game he did against Brighton. Just doesn't look like a goalkeeper to me sometimes. Just get someone with real size arms. Anyway, that's enough of Everton. I took Man City in the handicap minus 1.5, and once we got 2-0 up, never really looked in doubt. And Sunday finished off with Arsenal v Brighton, possibly the highlight of the week, probably the biggest game of the week. Brighton won this one 3-0. Finally finished Arsenal's title push, you would imagine. Man, you now just need the one win to wrap that up. Brighton were really good value for the win here. And Cisse put them up on 51 minutes with Kiwior, I think it is, the Arsenal defender. Sitting on the floor at the time, Kiwior was marking Enciso, and he drops to the floor to rub his sore leg. He'd hurt himself, bless him, rather than defend the cross. It's absolutely bizarre. I mean, he stayed on for the rest of the game, so he can't have been that badly injured. Just stand up and try and do something. That's not to say he would have stopped the goal, but it was all a little bit weird, him stand down, rubbing his shin whilst Enciso just knocks it in. So Lord finished 3-0. It was 1-0 for most of the second half. So Arsenal were right in it. But in reality, they never looked like getting back into it. Brighton just looked comfortable throughout. They stretched the lead late on with goals from Undav and Estupinian. Arteta got himself another yellow card for his usual tittish behaviour on the touchline. It's what we see every time from Arteta when he doesn't get things his own way. Another takeaway from this one is what a bunch of fannies Arsenal are. Absolute soft shite. The highlight of that being Saka getting shoulder barged on the touchline, not with any real strength or malice or anything, and absolutely squealed like a baby. It was pathetic. Can't be having that. I'm sure Gabriel Jesus done exactly the same thing against Newcastle last week, squealing like a baby. So, yeah, I didn't mind that result at all. Another downside for Arsenal was the loss of Martinelli to injury. Yet to see how long he'll be out for. He wiped out Mitoma with a shitty challenge in the first half. That went unpunished. Was definitely a yellow, borderline red, given how, depending how you interpreted it. Anyway, he got off with it. So Caicedo went and took his own retribution, caught Martinelli with a late challenge. Wasn't a horrific challenge, but it was enough to be worth a yellow. Again, he didn't get punished, but Martinelli did pick up an injury. He tried to play on for a little bit, but went off injured. It wasn't our greatest game, this one, from a handicapping point of view. Mal took Arsenal. I think he put it up as his bet of the week. I hated that pick. It's short odds. I didn't like Arsenal at all. And I sort of come to Brighton a bit later. I couldn't be backing anyone at odds on against Brighton at the moment. But that said, I couldn't pick a winner myself. I went for the over 3.5 goals. I definitely, if you told me Brighton were going to get 3 of them, I would have put my house on Arsenal getting 1. Wasn't to be. So, yeah, not a great game to finish off with. But it was a really solid week for us. We both had 5 winners from 9 picks, but with lots of plus money stuff. Malcolm with his half-time draw. The Vinicius goal scorer stuff was brilliant. I had Kane first score. Kane scorer as well came up. So I think for both of us, profitable weeks again, making a bit of a habit at the moment of hitting those sort of plus money winners, which are enough to give us a profit from our picks. So hopefully, if you tailed much of it, you've done all right. We have got 1 game left tonight. That's Leicester against Liverpool. So if you are listening before that one, you might want to know what we've got. So a reminder, I went for Leicester team total. 2 or more goals for Leicester at 2-1. And Mal's went for the first half goals, and I absolutely love this pick. The more I look at it, it might be one I'll go with tonight. Mal's gone for over 1.5 first half goals at 11-10, plus 110. I don't mind that at all, and I think it could be one where we might get the 3 and 4, possibly. First half goals wasn't as live this weekend. Maybe it'll bounce back tonight with Liverpool v Leicester. Right. Before we move on, I'm going to take a little sip of water because it's a lot of talking doing this on my own. But let me tell you about Talkify. Confidence is key when it comes to dating, but if you struggle to find worthwhile connections, it can be difficult to feel your best when meeting new people. With Talkify, you feel confident that you're meeting someone special who was picked just for you. Talkify is the country's #1 modern matchmaking service that is designed to help you achieve relationship success. Their trusted compatibility specialists hand select successful and compelling candidates so you can date consciously and productively. Here's how it works. The Talkify matchmakers meet with you to learn about what you're looking for in a partner. They'll then select and screen potential matches for you, doing background checks, video interviews, and asking the tough questions that are too awkward for first dates. From there, your matchmaker plans your date, introductions, and handles all communications for you, creating a safe and stress-free dating experience. Talkify is committed to finding your match. 80% of clients met their person within the first 12 matches. And right now, Talkify is offering our listeners 20% off when you become a client at talkify.com/SGPN. That's TAWKIFY.com/SGPN. So that brings us to the midweek action. We've got semi-finals, second legs for the Champions League, the Europa League, and the Europa Conference, and a Premier League game between Brighton and Newcastle. So we're going to kick off with the Tuesday night game, which is between Inter Milan and AC Milan. Inter are 21-20 plus 105, AC Milan 29-10 plus 290, and the draw is available at 23-10 plus 230. Inter Milan take a 2-0 lead into this one. They also come into this in far better form, having won their last 7 games in all competitions now, conceding only 3 in the last 7 games and scoring 21. They did win 4-2 at the weekend against Sassuolo. That result puts them up to 3rd in the league and looking pretty safe at the moment in the top 4. AC Milan, on the other hand, are struggling to get back into that top 4. They lost 2-0 to Spezia at the weekend. They're down in 5th in the league now. They've been in reasonable form before the Inter Milan game with a 9-game unbeaten streak, but it did include 5 draws. Not in the best form, certainly not in as good form as we're seeing from Inter Milan at the moment. The last 10 games for AC Milan have gone under 2.5 goals. But the Inter side of things worries me a little bit when looking at the unders. Full of goals at the moment. They've scored at least 2 in the last 5 games. And as I say, 21 in total in the last 7. I think at these prices, I'm going to take this game to be very much the same as last week. At plus money, I think Inter on the money line is the pick for me. They're in good form. They're scoring and winning regularly. They've won the last 3 head-to-head now. So give me Inter. 21-20 Inter Milan to beat AC Milan on the money line. Next up is the Wednesday night game. Man City versus Real Madrid at the Etihad. Man City are 3-5 favourites, so around minus 165. Real are 17-4, plus 425. And the draw is available at 16-5, plus 320. 1-1 from the first leg. Not a bad result for City, but we keep saying you can never rule out this Real Madrid side under Ancelotti. And as long as you keep them hanging in there, the more they'll believe they can get the better of you and nick something. So Real will come into this with some confidence that they can get a result. Man City are 2-7 to qualify now, and Madrid are available at 5-2, plus 250. I think with the tie all square, at those prices, Madrid are arguably the more attractive option in terms of to qualify. If you're looking for value, I don't think I could be having City at 2-7. It's very short against a Madrid side who can beat anyone on the day. I do think City will win. I just think it's a short price. I mean, you only have to go back 12 months to see Real Madrid knocking Man City out in this stage, in this competition. The only difference there being the second leg was in Madrid. This time, City at home in the second leg. We'll definitely fancy that chances. City at home now have won 15 games in a row. 13 of them have been over 2.5 goals. 9 of the 15 have had over 3.5 goals. And City have won by 2 or more in all but 2 of those 15 games. So I do like City here. I do like City at home, but a bit too short for me to find a play on them. So I decided to go for goals. Again, over 2.5 is a little bit short at 4-7. But on the Asian goal line, if we take over 3, we can get around evens for that. That gives you a push if there's exactly 3 goals in the game, and a win if there's 4 or more. That would be my main pick here, but I don't mind the over 3.5 if your book doesn't offer the Asian goal markets. Not all of them do. Then you can get over 3.5 goals at 11-8, so around plus 137. I don't mind that at all. As I said, it's hit. Over 3.5 is hit in 9 of the last 15 City games at home. And let's not forget the last game, this game last season, at this stage of this competition, finished 4-3 to City at the Etihad. So there's a bit of history in the head-to-head as well. So yeah, City versus Real Madrid, over 3 goals on the Asian line at around evens is the pick for me. But I don't mind the over 3.5. If you need to push it to 3.5 with your book, then do so. I think we can get that, yeah. That concludes the Champions League. So that'll bring us up to Thursday. We have the start. We have the second legs of the Europa League. First up is Leverkusen versus Roma. Leverkusen are even money favourites. Roma are available at 29-10 plus 290, and the draw is 12-5 plus 240. Roma bring a 1-0 lead into this one from the first leg. It was a fairly evenly matched game. Leverkusen haven't been at the best lately. They've got no win in the last 4 games. And they've now dropped to 7th in the league and just outside of the European qualification for next season as it stands. Roma haven't been much better, though. That win in the first leg is their only win in the last 6 games now. They're currently hanging on to 6th place, just hanging on to the last of the European spots in the Serie A. I think it'll just be another tight affair here. We know Jose likes a defensive style anyway. They've got a lead to defend now. Neither team are in great goal-scoring form. Roma have been solid defensively this season. They've got the best defensive record outside of the top 4 in Serie A. I think they've conceded 33 goals in 35 games, I want to say. Round about just under a goal a game. I think Leverkusen might win this. I think they might nick it 1-0 and possibly get us into extra time. It could be a long night, this one. But either way, I can see a low scoring affair on the cards. And in my opinion, under 2.5 goals in this one. is the way to go. It's 8 to 11. It's a little bit short. Tough match on the money line, this one. Leverkusen were a bit bigger. I might have been tempted with them, but for me, I'll stick with the unders. Take this to be a 1-0 either way at 8 to 11. Next up, the other semi-final of the Europa League, we have Sevilla v Juventus. Sevilla are 7-5 favourites here, plus 140. Juventus are available at 2-1, plus 200. And the draw is at 11-5, plus 220. This one's delicately poised after a 1-1 first leg. Sevilla would definitely be disappointed to come into this without the lead, given that they created more chances. They had the better chances, and they held a 1-0 lead right up until the 97th minute when Juventus got that equaliser really, really late on in that one. Both teams followed it up with a win at the weekend. For Sevilla, it's just one defeat in their last 11 games now. I mentioned last week they're coming into form at the right time here. A bit late for the league. They're sort of locked into the mid-table now. But they've got a bit of momentum coming into this Europa League stuff with 6 wins in their last 8 games now. Juventus are unbeaten in 5 with 3 wins and 2 draws. And it's another one where I lean towards the unders here. Under 2.5 goals. Juventus games have hit 9 out of the last 10 games have hit the under 2.5. They haven't conceded more than a single goal in a game in their last 10. And although Sevilla are scoring plenty at the moment, I'd just back this Juve defence over the Sevilla forwards. I haven't got a money line play here. Qualification for either of these sides wouldn't be a shock. Sevilla, we know, have got they've got good form in this competition. But similarly, it wouldn't surprise me if Juventus can pull off a win away from home. I can see another one where it's a 1-0 either way, maybe a 1-1 draw, and we'll get extra time. But again, give me the unders here, under 2.5 goals at 8 to 11 for me on this one. So that brings us to the Europa Conference League, still on a Thursday night. Now, I've had a quick skim through these, not a great deal of analysis, but I have got a couple of picks. Done a bit better on these last week. And gone with a similar angle, really. First up, we've got AZ Alkmaar versus West Ham. Alkmaar are 17-10 plus 170. West Ham at 6-4 plus 150. And the draw available at 12-5 plus 240. So West Ham are slight favourites for this leg. They have a 2-1 lead from the first leg. And West Ham showed with the weekend selections that they are throwing absolutely everything at this tournament. And rightly so. It's a way back into Europe. They get qualification for the Europa League if they can win this. And they should have a real chance if they can get past Alkmaar. So they've got a 2-1 lead to defend. They were good value for the win last week, I thought. They had an XG of 3.1 to Alkmaar's 0.3 in that first leg. Alkmaar are a decent side, though. They're third in the league currently in Netherlands. They're currently ahead of Ajax in the league. I can't believe Ajax are still down in 4th place at the moment. They've got a game in hand over Alkmaar. But at the moment, Alkmaar are having a good season. They're scoring an average of 2 per game. They've scored 64 in 32 games in the league. And they got a good win at the weekend, 5-1. Can't remember who it was against now, but 5-1 win for Alkmaar at the weekend. I think goals in this one, I've went unders on the 2 Europa League ones. But I'm switching me strategy a little bit here. I think there will be goals in this one. Alkmaar at home with a crowd behind them in a close game where they're still right in the tie. They'll have a right go at West Ham. And West Ham have only got 1 clean sheet in their last 6. And they've conceded 12 in the last 6, West Ham. So definitely vulnerabilities at the back for West Ham. Alkmaar can get involved. I'm not sure who goes through from this one. I think this could be a really, really good game. I think it could be entertaining. I'll probably keep an eye out for this one. But I think that both teams to score appeals. It's at 8 to 11. So I'm going to go a slightly higher pick. I'm going to take the over 2.5 goals in this one at 9 to 10. So just short of odds on, around minus 110. Over 2 goals in the Alkmaar v West Ham game. And the final game of the European fixtures is Basel. I think I said Ball last week. I think I actually preferred Basel. I'm going to go with Basel now. Or Ball. Who knows? Just say it however you want to say it. But I'm going to say Basel this week. V Fiorentina. Basel or 18 to 5, plus 360. Fiorentina 3-4, minus 135. And the draw is available at 11-4, plus 275. Basel come into this with a 2-1 lead from the away leg. They nicked that in the 93rd minute. They were a huge 8-1 last week on the money line. And for me, they look a big price again, given that they've went to Fiorentina and won the away leg. They're now quite a big price for the home team. They were fairly evenly matched last week. Similar shots on goal. Fiorentina had a slightly higher XG, but nothing ridiculous enough to suggest they're going to blow Basel away here. And for that reason, I fancy Basel to do enough to qualify. So a win or a draw for Basel, we'll see them go through, obviously. You can get them on a double chance at evens to win or draw. If you want a slightly safer play, then Basel to qualify is available at 7-10. So that would give you the chance if they lose by a single goal, but then go on to win it the next time or win it in penalties. So I think the juice may be worth it a little bit on that one. So I think that'll be my pick. Basel to qualify from here. Remember, they are 1 goal up from the first leg. Basel qualify at 7-10. As I say, I think Fiorentina, they're a bit short for me to be that short odds on away from home. Against Basel, aren't a bad side. And they showed that in the first leg. As I say, they were a good match. So yeah, that's a pick for me. That wraps up all of the European action. Finally, we've got a Premier League game between Newcastle and Brighton. A game with big implications for Newcastle, depending how Liverpool do tonight. Liverpool ought to win. They'll be up to within a point, I think, of Newcastle. And then this will be Newcastle's opportunity to stretch their legs and get away again. If Newcastle can beat Brighton, big step towards securing the top 4. But it's a big ask. Newcastle are 10-11, minus 110. Brighton 13-5, plus 260. And the draw 14-5, plus 280. Newcastle has stumbled a little with a defeat against Arsenal, being followed by a disappointment versus Leeds. They know if they win the 2 home games, then top 4 will be confirmed. But this one definitely looks to be easily the hardest game of the run-in for Newcastle. Or so we would assume, having watched Brighton push Arsenal aside yesterday. But they aren't blowing everyone away. Let's not forget, they had the good win against Arsenal. They beat Man United 1-0. They hammered Wolves 6-0. But let's not forget they also lost to Forest. And they got absolutely battered off Everton. Both of those games comfortably beaten. So they are capable of throwing in the odd poor performance. But Newcastle will have to be back to their best here to get a result, I think. Newcastle has stopped keeping clean sheets, which is a concern. I think their Newcastle's strong season was built on the back of that sort of defensive solidity. But no clean sheet in 8 games now for Newcastle, which is a bit of a concern. On the plus side, they have started finding the net again. And it has been very much of a case of Newcastle having to score more than you because we're not going to keep a clean sheet. And I think this could be the same again. Remember, Newcastle have still only lost 2 home games all season. They lost against Arsenal last week, and Liverpool are the only team to go to St James's Park, other than Arsenal, and come away with 3 points. They'd won the last 4 before the Arsenal game and scored 13 in those 4 games. For Brighton, 7 of the last 9 games have gone over 2.5 goals, and the last 4 away games have all went over and all went both teams to score. And those are the sort of angles I like here. I can't see Newcastle keeping out Brighton. The way Brighton play at the moment and the way Newcastle have been letting goals in, I just feel like Brighton are going to score. I do still think Newcastle can win the game. I think we can score enough. We've been scoring enough at home lately. It's a tough game to call on the money line. I don't like Newcastle's price. I don't want them at odds on. And as I said before, I don't think I'd back many teams odds on against Brighton at the moment. But I like the goals. Over 2.5 is a little bit short. But if we tag on the both teams to score, we can get it to 5-6. So I think that's a reasonable price. And I'm going to put that up as my selection here. So that's over 2.5 goals and both teams to score at around 5-6. The other thing I mentioned earlier is the one that keeps hitting for me over and over again in Newcastle games, and more so as well in the home games. But it's Newcastle to score 2 or more and Newcastle to take 6 or more corners. It's available at around 12 to 5, plus 240. And it's a nice little bet builder that's hitting often. It's hitting more than one every other game. So at the prices, it just looks good value at the moment. Keep riding it. While Newcastle are getting the corners, keep riding it. And the corners are on their own. Newcastle corners this week is available at 5 to 6 for them to get 6 or more corners. They've done that in the last 6 home games in a row and in 8 of the last 9. So that's one I really like here. And again, always happy to endorse a corners ladder in these Newcastle games as it's delivered for us so often. So yeah, 5 to 6 for Newcastle to get 6 or more corners. I bet that's hitting 8 of the last 9 home games for Newcastle. Getting close to even money for that just looks like something you've just got to keep playing. So that, ladies and gentlemen, is everything covered. 41 minutes. Thought I'd rattle through it a bit quicker than that without Malcolm gassing away. But there we are. It's been a little bit different. I mean, probably better, I would say. I mean, if you prefer this without Malcolm getting involved, then slide into me DMs, let me know, and we'll see if we can get him binned off. But thank you all for listening. If you're listening for the first time, it's usually better than this. It's not normally just me droning on for 45 minutes, so give us another chance. Hopefully we'll still pick some winners from this one. But do get back involved. If it's your first time, this isn't the norm. There's normally 2 of us, and it's normally fun, and we normally put out a lot of winners. Don't forget to like, rate, review, etc. Wherever it is you're listening, get involved in the Discord as well. Always busy in the Discord on the soccer channel during these big Champions League weeks, so get involved with that. There'll be plenty of picks going up. I've already seen a few suggestions on picks for tonight's games as well, so get stuck in. Hopefully Mal will be on the mend by Thursday, not for the podcast purposes, but because Newcastle home to Brighton, Malcolm should be there. So we won't be live Thursday night because Malcolm will be at the match. I'll be watching the match, and neither of us will be in any state to record on Thursday night. So hopefully we'll get a show out to you later on Friday, covering all of the Premier League stuff. But we'll keep you informed on that. Keep an eye on the socials. We'll let you know when we're going to be recording that one. But that's enough from me. I hope you all enjoy the Champions League games. Good luck with your bets. And until next time, we'll see you down the road. Cheers.